Mystics, The Book of Minerva, The Shadow Dragon Empress, by K. Young. Chapter 1, Shadows and Secrets. Memphis, Tennessee, August 12th, 2085 AD 137 BCC, before cosmic convergence. R1 timeline rotation number Jamisha Pocket. It's been about 4 years since you left me alone. You left me with your drunk and abusive husband, and the solidarity I thought I had with my brothers is all but diminished. Is there more for me in this life? Mother, what am I to do? I opened my eyes and saw my mother's gravestone. It read Adibola Pockets, July 11th, 2043 to March 5th, 2081. Loving mother, wife, daughter. I looked down with a heavy heart. This fucking sucks. I don't want to go back to that place. My phone started to ring, but at that same time I felt what I can only describe as eyes staring me down. I looked down at my phone. It was my father. Hello.
Jamisha, where the fuck are you?
My father's voice blasted through the phone. I'm at Ma's grave. Don't you remember me telling you that I was visiting her today?
Don't give me that goddamned attitude, raggedy ass little girl. Remember, I can still beat yo ass since you still living in my house.
My father scolded. His drinking increased rapidly after Ma died. He was already a very liberal drinker as is. I guess he's grieving in his own way. Do you need something? I'd asked. I have to get to class before the lockdown.
It can wait until you get back.
His voice low and had a heavy slur.
Call me tomorrow afternoon when you get out. We need to talk.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. I love you.
Bye.
He abruptly hung up the phone. That was weird. He normally tells me he loves me back. Little did I know, but there was way more to that phone call than what I initially thought. I wasn't too far from the college. I'd been studying culinary arts at Remington College for about a month now. And they had this new student lockdown tradition that is supposed to help the new students get to know the campus culture or something. I only agreed to go because I didn't want to be at home. On the way there, I felt those eyes on me again. They were heavy and had a dark presence. It wasn't malicious, though, but I ultimately shrugged it off as a figment of my imagination. Once I got to my classroom, I had that feeling again. Why? Because I was the only person in the room. What's going on here? I could have sworn my admissions counselor told me the lockdown was mandatory for all new students. Where is everyone? I looked around. The classroom kitchen was completely empty. Maybe I'm early. I put my stuff on one of the many empty tables and took a seat. As I looked around, I noticed that no one was in the hallway. Even stranger, on my way here, I didn't recall anyone being on campus. Yet at the same time, I felt those same eyes looking at me. Even now, I can still feel them digging at my nerves. I looked up, and to my surprise, I saw a man standing in the doorway. He was wearing a black and white three-piece suit. He had two large barrel rolls of locks that kind of looked like ram horns and reddish-brown skin. His eyes glowed a fiery yellow, and as menacing as he looked, this man was quite handsome. As he stepped closer, there was a strong sense of fire and brimstone, or something coming from him. I say all this to say that this dude was not human.
Are you Jamisha Pockets?
The man asked. His voice was both soothing and rustic, as contradictory as that may sound. It was almost as if the voice was an ancient entity, and this man was its vessel. Yes, that's my name. Are you another student, or? I asked. The man stepped closer and shut the door without touching it.
I've been looking for you, O blessed Queen of Space.
What are you talking about? You never answered my question. Who are you? And how do you know my name? I questioned. As he inched closer, I instinctively backed away. Who is this man? What does he want with me? What was with that whole Queen of Space shit he was talking about?
I don't wish to alarm you, but you will be facing a time of great hardship soon. In this time you may call on my aid, though it'll come at a price.
His words were almost prophetic. Tell me what you want. Who are you and how do you know me? I wondered.
My name is Astaroth. Think of me as something like a guardian
Smiled.
angel.
Looks must be deceiving. Because this guy looked like a demon that you see in an anime or something. Why should I trust you? Did you lure me in here? Was that you that kept looking at me? I asked. I had no idea how I was able to muster the courage to speak to this being. I had been fortunate enough to learn a little bit about the non-human race before I graduated high school. There was a rift that had opened in the early half of the 30s, and what I can only describe as monsters and demons came through. They looked like us, sounded like us, and have feelings, but they could do some otherworldly stuff. Most of the beings that came through the rift were malicious, but those that weren't were studied, and the human race learned quite a bit from them.
Forgive me, I understand you are aware that I am not completely human.
Astaroth stated.
Though this body is made of human flesh, I, the one possessing this body, am the true aspect of time.
I have no idea what you're saying, I responded.
That is all right. Soon you won't have to know what I am, and you will have your own role to play as foreseen by Oracle.
His voice trembled the kitchen, and the lights flickered rapidly.
I must go.
He approached me and handed me a small sundial. It was gold and the dial was razor sharp.
When the time comes, use this to draw blood, and time will be on your side. There are those that wish to snuff you out and have you killed simply because of who you are.
The words this man, if I can even call him a man, said caused my head to pound uncontrollably. I wasn't able to stay awake, but I did manage to hear his parting words.
Oh, my beloved, blessed Queen of Space, may our union usher in a new age, and may our descendants prosper in that era.
After that, I blacked out. While I was asleep, I had a vision, one that stayed with me for the rest of my life. I was in this dark, shadowy abyss, and those eyes were on me again. Yet, only this time the eyes weren't Astaroth's, they seemed more malevolent. "Hello, who's there?" I asked. There was a muffled voice in the distance that I could barely make out, but after listening for some time, I could make out the words, "It's mine." Suddenly a smoky dragon rushed me and I woke up. The classroom was empty, and it seemed like I was out for a while, seeing that it was the next day. I looked down and saw the sundial, so it was real. I gathered my things and made my way off campus to grab a bite to eat. On my way to the nearest coffee shop, I saw something that one would call a miracle happening on the street. A group of people were surrounding a young boy, healing a homeless person's broken leg. The people cheered and called the boy the next Messiah. He looked up, and the two of us made eye contact, and as soon as we did, the sundial that I fashioned as a necklace started to emit an intense burning heat. "Is it reacting to that kid?" The child stepped closer toward my direction, and from nowhere, I heard a voice that sounded like my own scream at me to run. So I did. I ran to the nearest coffee shop bathroom and locked the stall door. I probably sat in that stall for 2 hours before I worked the courage to leave. I didn't even get anything to eat. The only thing I wanted to do was get in my bed. I didn't know what was going on. It's like my world was being flipped. I eventually made it home, and my brothers were sitting on the couch. Both of them were beaten to a pulp and had a tinge of hate in their eyes, and it was clearly directed at me.
Where were you, Jamisha? Do you see what he did to me and Jalen? Do you even care?
Jamal, the eldest of my 2 younger brothers, stood up in anger. "Jamal, I..."
Save it, sis. Dad will be back soon, and when he does, no telling what he'll do.
Exact moment. A shotgun blast echoed the living room, and there was a massive hole in the middle of Jamal's head. Both Jalen and I stood there in complete fear and disbelief as our brother's lifeless body flopped to the floor. In the distance, I could hear the drunken swishes of alcohol in a glass bottle.
The fuck are you lot gonna do about it?
Our dad usually thinks he's British when he gets drunk and angry. But this seemed different. I didn't know at the time, but my encounter with that Asteroth guy and that miracle boy were the least of my troubles. My dad's eyes glowed white and he was crying blood. It was like his body was being manipulated by some outside force. He took another drink from his bottle and cocked his shotgun.
Don't look at me with those eyes. You think you're better than me. You think you can survive without me.
Dad screamed and shot around at the ceiling. Jalen rushed our father to try to get the gun out of his hands. But there was a shot in the scuffle. The two stood and stared at each other in disbelief.
Chapter 2 Shadows of Time Astaroth. I walked this realm for well over 50 years, accompanied by my patron goddess, Tiamat, and her trusted aide, Pandora Les Fleurs Precises. It had been a long and grueling half-century. However, the time for action is upon us. My origins are a bit odd, and some may say it is controversial. However, I am essentially made of two parts. The first being my physical body, that of a human male, whereas the second part of my being is what one may consider the soul. Lady Tiamat, being the creator of all things, possessed an ability to control and warp reality. This was called a signature, and her signature was called the aspect of reality. The signature is composed of 7 unique and infinite concepts that will always remain: love, sleep, death, life, chaos, space, and finally time. My lady found herself and Pandora trapped in this realm eons ago, and had been aimlessly wandering around awaiting for the birth of someone special. That person was someone that dedicated their livelihood to being acknowledged by her, however didn't live long enough to actually meet her in the physical realm. Instead, my lady graced the young man, whom we'll refer to as the first Hierophant, in a spiritual realm of her own creation. She advised him that the role he will play in the distant future will be an integral one in order to break an eternal and generational curse. After accepting his part, she sent his soul to the future, where he would have the opportunity and environment to thrive and achieve his destiny. Only leaving his physical body, M'Lady's mental state at this point was already damaged beyond repair, and the only remedy was for the 7 individual sub-signatures to gain an ego and possess physical bodies in order to ease the tension. However, this process is easier said than done, as not any physical body can do. The body itself must be chosen ahead of time by the respective sub-signature. For example, before the aspect of time developed an ego, it had subconsciously willed the first Hierophant into existence. After passing and the deceased coming in contact with Lady Tiamat, the conditions will have been met for the respective sub-signature to possess the physical body, thus giving life and form to what my lady calls an artificial Ashura. Being of a near identical race as my lady, having DNA of dragons, demons, fairies, and slime monsters, I have an innate desire to resolve matters with a more civilized and academic approach. However, the humans of this realm will mindlessly resort to violence if it means they can get what they want. The idea of it all disgusts me.
Astaroth, be careful out there. There have been news reports of a hurricane coming in this evening. My lady is worried that you'll miss your window of opportunity.
A voice rang through my thoughts. It was Lady Pandora using thought communication.
You do only have one chance to pull this mission off, so don't get cocky.
She almost had the voice of a mother. The conditions for the possession are met. The only thing there's left to do is wait. Wait until the sycophant takes control of the young woman's father, I responded.
This may only be your first mission, but it can easily be your last if you act carelessly.
There was a sense of doubt in her voice. Give my lady my regards and inform her I'll return with Lady Beelzebub as asked. I disconnected the line as I spread my wings to take off. The Memphis air was thick with both humidity from the rain clouds and Mississippi River, and the toxic fumes from the industrial plants. It made it a bit hard to navigate, however I was able to find a building close by Jamisha's residence. It was a tall banking building that had an overhead view of her neighborhood. The air quality and dense storm clouds made it difficult to tune into the conversation frequency. I'm going to have to get in closer, I thought. As I hovered over her home, I caught an interesting sight. It was Jamisha's father, and like clockwork, he was being controlled by an angel sycophant. These creatures had a terrifying appearance. They wore white robes with gold trimming, eyes covering their arms, mouths where their eyes should be, and a plethora of feathered wings. These hideous monstrosities feed their victims lies in order to commit atrocities, all in the name of their evil demiurge. The drunk man and the sycophant made their way into the tool shed behind the house and grabbed a double-barrel shotgun, cocked it, and drunkenly stumbled in the house.
Jamisha pockets. The shot echoed, and my father and brother stared at each other before Jalen's body fell over.
I'll bring them back, it's fine. They promised I'll see them again if I got rid of you,
he grunted as he lifted himself up from the floor. What are you saying? I'm your daughter.
Shut up, shut up. You're not my daughter. I don't know what you are.
His screams were drenched in despair.
They said you will help usher in a world of darkness and that you have to die. If I do this, then I get to see my family again. A family I've always dreamed of, my loving wife and 2 beautiful sons.
What is he saying? I'm his little girl. I don't understand what is happening. Who is promising him this future? Dad, what's going on? There was a shot, and I quickly ducked to the ground.
They said I can have her back. I just need to give you over to them, or I could kill you. That's what they said.
He kept shouting. I made my way to the staircase out of his field of vision. As I crawled up the stairs, I remembered the sundial, and what Astaroth told me before I passed out. Use it to draw blood, and time will be on my side. I don't know what's going to happen. But if he could do all that crazy stuff in the class, I think he could save me. And so I grabbed and squeezed the sundial as tight as I could until I saw blood dripping down my hand. At the foot of the stairs, my father stumbled, and his face held a sense of shock and fear.
What are you doing? Let go of that.
A brilliant golden light emanated from the sundial. The light was so bright and warm that, for the first time in 4 years, I felt safe within my own home. I'm pretty sure time had stopped once the light started to glow. I looked around the room, and all the color and everything was gone. It was like I was in an old 1900s movie. I looked at my father. He was in fact being controlled by something. But I couldn't believe what was controlling him. It had a long white robe with gold embroidering along the edges. Large white feathered wings along the sides of its head and back, with 2 rings of light on top its head. As jaw-dropping as the thing's appearance was, it was its face that drew out my fear. The creature had no mouth, rather, it had 2 mouths, where its eyes should be, and its eyes, well, they were running up and down its arms. What the hell is that thing? Almost as if it could hear my thoughts, every eye on the creature looked at me, and the creature began to move towards me. The angel demon thing was slow, but I still ran as fast as I could to my room. I locked my door, and as I backed up, eyes fixated on the door, I bumped into someone. I was fed up with all the surprises that the universe had thrown at me in the past 24 hours, and this was the final straw. I was sandwiched between my murderous father and an angel demon, and a pervert in my bedroom. I can't handle this anymore. I took the sundial and raised it to my neck. I was fully prepared to end it all right there. But the person behind me grabbed my wrist before I could even touch my neck. The person spun me around, and it was him, Asteroth. He stared at me with those illustrious yellow eyes, and gave me a worried smile that was accompanied by 2 streams of tears rolling down his face.
Oh, my beloved, there is more to your story, and this is merely the beginning. As I told you before, if you use that sundial, then I will be here to aid you.
He pulled me in and embraced me. How were we moving so freely, and everything else was moving incredibly slowly? Better question, can I really trust him?
If I take care of the angel sycophant outside your door, will you consider trusting me?
Astaroth asked, almost as if he could read my mind. I looked up at him and gave him a meek yet stern nod, much to his delight. He set me aside and walked towards my bedroom door. The angel on the other side managed to make it up the stairs and started to pound on the door, although it was slow. Each bang was louder than the previous. Astaroth turned and gave me a gentle smile before opening the door. He met the angel sycophant, and his movements were almost a blur. He lifted his hands, and the walls started to wither away, turning into sand. The sand collected above his hands, and with a clap, a stream of pressurized sand pierced the right wing on the sycophant's head. The sycophant screamed a blood-curdling scream as it rushed towards Astaroth. He leaped out of the way, and the many eyes fixed their gaze on me. It soon started to pursue me, and it was at that time I noticed that it was moving faster as the fight continued. Astaroth dove in feet first and kicked the angel in the head before it could reach me. He dusted himself off and flashed an awkward smile. Is he flirting with me? The sycophant began to emit a screeching noise, and a ton of energy started to accumulate outside of its mouth.
Not good,
Astaroth said. He shielded me from the attack, and as the dust settled, he stood up and pat my head. He gave me a smile before forming a katana out of the dust and said,
Wait here.
A second katana formed in his left hand, and he grew a pair of wings that looked like they belonged to a dragon. Who is this man? What does he want from me? What is that thing, and why does my father want to kill me? I wasn't going to get the answers to any of my questions, but what I did know was that I could trust this man with my life. He flew up high in the air above my house. The angel made a ringing noise with its mouth before saying something in a language that sounded like Hebrew. And after that, it shot in the air after him. The sky was a deep gray. There had been news and weather reports saying that a hurricane was coming our way. The two floated in the air, before the angel charged another blast and fired it point blank in Astaroth's face. The attack managed to burn his suit jacket.
That was my favorite jacket,
he said. He clenched the hilts of his blades and charged at the sycophant. Even though the blades were made of sand, each strike caused sparks to fly.
I'm growing increasingly agitated. As such, I shall dispatch of you quickly and return to my beloved.
Astaroth closed his eyes, and the already colorless world around us grew darker and more ominous.
Aspect of time, time signature, oracle /
There was a flash of light and what looked like a zip across the sky, followed by inverted colors before time ultimately resumed. What was that? What's happening to me? Astaroth floated back down and met me with a smile on his face. The angel that had attacked me had disappeared.
Oh, don't worry about that angel sycophant. It's long gone and can't hurt you anymore.
What about my father? Astaroth looked down with a face that was too ashamed to say what's next.
Your father was bonded to that angel. Once its life ends, so does his.
My eyes widened with disbelief. What am I going to do now? I don't have anything left, not even a home to feel safe in. Astaroth grabbed me and held me close to his chest.
My love, you are always safe with me, and I need you to remember from this day forward that I will always look after you.
He wiped the tears from my face before kissing my forehead.
I do recall telling you that once you use that sundial that it will come at a great price.
That's right, he did say that. What kind of price do I have to pay? Do I sell you my soul or something? Astaroth erupted in a childish laugh.
Of course not. You are to be the vessel for the aspect of space, as well as my queen.
This is all happening too fast. I met this dude 24 hours ago, and he's talking about how I need to be the vessel of whatever and to be his wife.
When you put it like that, it does sound like nonsense,
Astaroth retorted. It was like he was reading my mind. Why me? Why was I chosen to be this vessel? I asked.
Why not? I only know what my lady tells me and what my oracle can show me.
Astaroth corrected.
And what I was told to do was to find the vessel for the aspect of space, and that I will fall in love with the queen of space. The face oracle showed me was yours.
What if I don't want to? I interrogated.
It's a little too late for that. You used the sundial, and sat in the realm in which time stands still,
he presented.
The laws of this universe are forcing out your soul because it thinks you're dead.
What? What are you saying? My questioning continued. He sat me down.
I'll send your soul somewhere safe. You won't have to worry about being scared or hurt. This isn't the end for you, merely the beginning.
I felt a sharp pain in my chest, followed by an intense heat and a wave of cold. Astaroth grabbed me and held me close to his chest.
For warmth.
His body heat felt like a cozy house in the winter time, the fireplace roaring, sipping a warm cup of hot chocolate. I felt like I was in bliss.
Before I send you off.
I could barely make out what he was saying. I could only see his lips move. It was clear I was blacking out, but I could make out the very last thing that rolled off his lips.
Minerva.
I woke up in a room that looked completely unfamiliar to me. The air felt different too. It felt like the air around Astaroth. Astaroth. He was the last person I remember seeing. He said he was going to send my soul somewhere safe, but I have no idea where I am, let alone safe. I tried to look around the room that I was in, but I was having some trouble. My body was heavy, like I couldn't move. I managed to lift my hand up to scratch my ear, and then it hit me. Literally, I hit myself with my own hand. And when I pulled my fist from my face, it wasn't one of a fully grown woman. No, it was an infant's fist. I had been reborn as a baby.